Hey, so back to do another video, and kind of maybe put some context behind the video I made yesterday. I kind of, you know, was sitting in here yesterday and was like, you know what, I've talked about it enough, so I'm gonna start making a video while I do this. And what I should have done was I should have put context with it so that there was a bit of an understanding of why I'm doing these or what I'm looking to get out of this. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to explain in hopes and as quickly as possible so I don't waste anyone's time of why and what I'm hoping to do and help others do. So here we go. So second night, like I said, and I kind of wanted to discuss the why behind this and more of get in depth of, not too in depth, but more of, so that as I make these, there's an understanding of where I'm coming from, where I came from, what I did in that middle point from then to now, and then kind of where I'm at now. And and it's hard to put this stuff into words because I'm kind of saying it. I didn't prepare. I thought off and on all day of things I would like to talk about, but I didn't write anything down. And I wanted this. I want these to be raw. I want these to be real thoughts and feelings and in discussions. And so the why, and the why is that I'm in various groups on social media, especially specifically Facebook, for alienated dads and single dads and leadership groups and stuff like that, and what are they called? Anyway, so it's just people on Facebook that started a group to discuss things. And I can't remember the name of the one, but I just see a lot of the same comments from men about kind of like I'm lost and kind of don't know what I need, what I should be doing right now if I can't have my kids, and the depression is real or it's hard and it's tough, and all of very valid emotions that men have. And there's women on there too, and I don't want this to be specifically for men. But that's all I know how to do at the moment as I work through this. I hope one day it could be for men and women both, because I do want to help everyone and not only help them, but maybe offer some advice from someone that's been through quite a bit in their 39 years of life. I touched on that I served in the military, but I don't want this to be a military thing. Like, I don't want to talk and get into those things. There's enough of that out there. There's enough of podcasts and guys making YouTube videos and people discussing it. And I wanted to cast a wide net. I served. And I loved it. And then I was injured and then couldn't serve anymore, and which sucked. I tried, was not able to, and I have things I'm dealing with now from that injury that are going to continue to go through the rest of my life. But it is what it is. But to touch on that briefly, the military changed my life. It changed me to the core of the of kind of more like the way I wanted to carry myself going forward. Not, I don't necessarily change me on how to be a man or change me for the good or whatever, but it made me realize that you can push your body a lot further than you will ever think you can. And a guy my size doing 2-mile runs and 5-mile runs and 8-mile ruck marches and rappelling and doing all this other stuff and running up and down stairs and kicking doors and jumping out of little bitty Humvee doors and running off helicopters and climbing the helicopters. It was taxing, and it has kind of continued, and that's kind of where I want to leave that. But I love the Army. I love the military. I love our service members, my fellow brothers and sisters, and I lost really, really, really good friends and men that I will forever hold in my heart as family, because that's kind of what they turned into be is my brothers. And they're no longer with us. I carry them with me, and my thoughts and prayers are with their family as they still deal with that loss. And I hope one day that, and hopefully they has found some closure and know that their husbands and brothers and sons are in a better place. But anyway, back to what I wanted to get to was really why I wanted to do this is, like I said, I see in those groups the comments and the negativity and the nonstop of I'm lost. You see that a lot. I'm depressed. It's just constant. And I can tell you, as someone who fought for a couple years to get what I have now, those feelings are real. And I keep hitting the side of this, so sorry that this thing keeps shaking. I gotta figure out a way to hang this phone, but their feelings are real. I felt them. That feeling of helplessness in the family court system is almost as if you were dying. I don't have another way to explain it. You don't sleep, you stress, you don't eat. I'm absolutely terrified of the Pierce County courtroom building. I am. I don't. It is the scary. I'm not scared of much, and there's not many things that terrify me. But my experiences inside of the walls of that building, have really made me completely terrified and feel horrible for the people that went through the family court system before I ever had to, and then after. It is terribly flawed. It is terribly biased, and it is if their goal is to get as many cases through their doors as possible, without remedying or fixing or helping any situation. It's unfortunate that some people have to go through the court to separate and split and figure things out, but that is what it is. And the system shouldn't be that difficult. And I have written my state representatives and stuff on it and emailed them and had correspondence on it, and not specifically in my case alone, but for others too. And I'm sweating like a pig right now. That's going to be another conversation that I think at some point I am going to start kind of finding ways to help change or push for change of the family court system for men. I can't, and I'm not going to start on the women's side of it because I have no experience or really spoke to any woman on that side, so maybe that could come later. But in the beginning, it's going to be to help men, so that's going to be later. But we have lost as men what it is and what it is and means to be an American man. I think back and you see it in movies of those men from the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, that I would say 30s, 40s and 50s, but that they could do, there's nothing they couldn't fix or work on, and they had the masculine vibe of what I've gathered and experienced and spoke to people about is, I feel like is what we're missing. We have kind of become so scared of the optics of how we'd be portrayed in society if we push back a little bit on this whole hardcore feminist movement that men are bad, all men, specifically white men. And it is completely unfair and absolutely ridiculous that that's even a rhetoric that's being pushed, but it is. And I feel that it has been allowed to be pushed because men lost their voice and lost what it meant to be a man. That some men, like myself, and others that I know, would rather kind of allow things to find its place before I interject or intervene or comment on or have anything to say about it. And that wasn't really the right thing to do. We should have been, as things started to change and we started to see things shift against men, quite frankly, some of us should have stood up. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that would entail. But it's almost as if men have lost a little bit of their mojo in this country. And we, you see on social media, they just bicker, right? They'll bicker on a keyboard, instead of just sitting down and having a fucking conversation, right? Just like this right here. Yesterday I was fucking terrified. I was so nervous of how I would be portrayed if I sent this to anybody, and kind of what the reaction would be, or maybe I was just being ridiculous. But after it was done and I got feedback from people that are very, very close to me that I admire and really cherish their thought and opinion on, made me realize that, yeah, I think I may have a message that I can help spread, or maybe awareness, or maybe I can help people find their voice. I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying fuck it and going for it, right? And what I'm getting at is that it's going to take a collective of men getting together, discussing and sitting down and figuring out what is the best way to navigate today in society as a man. And I don't give two fucking shits what color you are. I don't. But this portraying that, oh, black is bad, and you know, and Hispanics are horrible and they're all illegals, and white men are bad because they're inherently racist, is just fucking ridiculous rhetoric that's pushed by legacy media. And again, I'm not going to get on a political tirade, but it's true. You know, it's okay to admit that, but we're not. And when we fail to sit down and have discussions like grown men and adults, is when things begin to shift and change, and we, instead of getting in front of each other and sitting down and having a beer and discussing something, we sit down behind a computer screen and decided to portray tough guys instead of wise guys. I guess I don't know another better way to use it. What I mean by wise guys is men capable of sitting down and having adult conversation and discussing things and coming away with either a different mindset or a different viewpoint, or maybe nothing at all, but at least you had the balls to sit down and have a fucking discussion. And that's what's lost, is that men have now become afraid to call each other out because of optics, or call out a situation that's completely ridiculous that they should stand up and have a conversation on, or stand up and voice their opinion. And it doesn't matter what the message is. For me, it's the message of just growing the fuck up, manning up, and standing up for yourself. And it took, you know, I was in a marriage for 14 years where I thought it was my job just to be the earner and bring home money and be an authority figure, but everything else I'm supposed to bow down and take a step back and not have an opinion or a thought or anything. And when I came out of that relationship and I went to therapy, and I started to kind of realize that, you know, I didn't need to do that to be a good husband or a good father. Man, I just chugged water and I burped a couple times, so apologies. But the fuck was I saying? But yeah, so I thought that is what I was supposed to do, and in fact it was the complete opposite. And what it led to was a complete internal unhappiness that I had, that I couldn't, it was a fire. Like there was nothing putting that out. And what on the outside I portrayed was I was good and happy, and, you know, I was trying to do everything I could, and at times that feeling and that hole that was there and that anger would just come out. And it wouldn't be in a physical way, but it'd be like, you know, I would raise my voice. I would yell. I would, instead of discussing things with my sons like I'm discussing now or talking about now, I would demand it to get done, or, you know, tell them that, hey, if you don't do what I ask you to do, there's going to be consequences. And that is not fair to them, because I was supposed to be developing them. I wasn't supposed to be this authoritarian figure over them. I was supposed to be their protector, their person that they were supposed to look up to and mimic my actions and my words. And I did the exact opposite. And what that did was it pushed them away from me emotionally. And then when the divorce was going on, we didn't have a connection emotionally. And that made it hard for me to maintain a relationship with them as we were going through the divorce. And that is my fault. That is completely on me. That is not on my parents. It's not on my sons. It's not on the marriage. It's on me. That is the immaturity that I spoke about yesterday. I was immature. I wasn't where I should have been mentally and emotionally to be there for them when they needed me most. Because what I did, like I said yesterday, is I rushed into something that I wasn't ready for. And it's okay to admit that now. But again, I will always repeat this, that This is in no way, shape or form of me saying I regret anything that has to do with my sons. I just regret that I didn't do things the way that I would want my sons to do them. And that is where I failed. And that is where I don't want anyone else to fail. Is that type of mindset of, I just need to work my ass off and make a bunch of money and pad the bank account so that we can do this and buy that and do that. Yes, you are making money, but you're failing what really matters, and that is your children or your family. And life is too short to allow a place that doesn't have any impact on the happiness of your family take so much of you away from your family. What I mean by that is putting that 60 and 70 hours in at work, even though, yes, I understand times are hard and we have to make money. But if I was to give myself advice now to the me back then when the boys were younger, is that 5 hours and 10 hours of overtime that I worked to make a few bucks on a paycheck could have been time that I spent with my sons when they were younger. And that is my biggest regret. Yes, I do regret, like I said yesterday, the whole deal around my marriage and how it came to be. But now, over time and through therapy and stuff, the regret has more shifted on the situation and more of how I dealt with the situation. And how you deal with your situation now is going to impact you in the future. And now is the time to get a real handle on that and really figure out what is going to make you happy. Because if you are not happy, your situation is never going to change. And I highly encourage you, if you have not sought out a therapist, I just try it out. Give it 2 sessions, 3 sessions. Just try it. And then see, kind of reflect. Don't go into it open-minded. Go into it with the thought that I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put myself out there with somebody that is a professional to help me and to see what you come of it. I would be surprised if you don't come away with that lighter. Or maybe that just lighter, that there's a little bit of that pressure I talked about yesterday off. And that feeling is amazing. I swear it is. It is almost as if someone just turns the sun up a little brighter and things look a little bit better. And yes, the system is shitty. The court system is shitty. The situation in divorce is shitty. But when you start focusing on this, then everything else tends to fall into place. And there's things you can do, slowing down when you talk, understanding that you feed the negativity that runs through your body. Those cells communicate, right? And the minute you start thinking negatively, they feed each other, and then they just continue to breed, and they continue to breed, or whatever the hell cells fucking do in your body. But what I'm getting at is you're creating that. So you got to understand, you got to get into the mindset of that. My thoughts, my choice. My thoughts, my choice. So that's a little bit, I didn't want this to go this long, but that's a little bit of what I'm hoping I could do with this. I'm going to have more next time. I don't know if it's going to be in tomorrow night, but it will be very soon. And I think this is going to be fun. I hope and I pray that people get something from this. But I do appreciate you watching. I appreciate the feedback I got to kind of give me the courage to do this. But yeah, so until next time, see ya.